Thank you for coming to hang out with us. This is Gain and Glow, a happy lifestyle podcast with me, Vanessa.
And me, Crystal.
Oh, hello there.
Hi.
You want to go ahead and hit us with... Oh.
I'm excited. I'm just so excited. What are you saying?
I was going to say I'm so excited, and go ahead and, if you want, hit us with that old dope quote.
Today's dope quote is from Ayn Rand, a Russian-American writer. The question isn't who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me. Boom.
Boom. I love this quote so much because it's like, it's a mood. That's what people say now, right? It's a total mood.
Yes. Yeah, it's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
It's not about whether I'm going to do it. It's about whether you're going to try to stop me. I love that because today's episode, we're actually going to be talking about choices and the concept behind how even no choice is technically a choice and how we can reframe our mind and our idea behind the choices we make to actually help, succeed and move forward instead of hold ourselves back. Which I think if you're like us, you've struggled with probably. I feel like that's like a human condition.
Right? I know. I think about like with work. It's funny. Like I got into like being an HR assistant / accounting assistant, and from there I've been in accounts payable for like 8 years. And there's so much more to this brain than crunching numbers. And it's so funny though, because these choices I take, like taking these jobs, were based on increasing my skills and abilities, and then also increasing how much money I make. But then at that point, each time went, how do I get another job where I make more money and can prove myself more so that eventually I can move up? But now I'm 33 and I'm going, I don't want to keep doing this. Like, and so part of me goes, well, I could look at this like a failed experiment, or I could treat it for what it was. And now, like, I love this, and I'm not sure where I read it, but this person said that don't think of not wanting to do something as like failure, that you've wasted your time. Think about it that you have a skill and you've gotten so good at it that now you just don't need to practice it anymore.
There you go.
They're just like, it's experience under your belt. Don't think about it in like a negative light. Just start focusing on what it is that you want. Because, yeah. So now, I mean, this last year, throughout everything, we've somehow managed to keep recording episodes semi-consistently and and launch a website. gainandglow.com.
Yeah, in case you haven't visited, it's www.gainand, spelled out A-N-D, glow.com.
And so it's like, that website could have not been born if we didn't make like the constant choice to work on it, like in our quote unquote spare time. Every day, Yeah. It's like and for me, it's funny, I kind of felt like I committed to it in my mind pretty strongly, because I was like, I'm not doing anything else for myself. I'm not pursuing a different job right now because I get to be safe and fed. So why like put that up? Like, why get rid of that right now? And then also lets me spend more time with my husband and my dog, which is fantastic. But then I was like, I'm not working out and I wasn't eating well for a big chunk of last year. So I'm like, well, I should at least commit to like making these articles for the website. And then we have our little design meetings and stuff, and all that interaction with you on this podcast and the website helps motivate me to continue to work on it and to be excited about it. And I think that's why people always say to try and find like a mentor, or like if you're looking to get into a different career field, to interview like 5 people doing what it is that you want to do before you even spend money on making a career choice, because or that energy, because you might not like some of the aspects of their job that you're not even aware of. Like I always thought it'd be cool to work at a tattoo shop because I love tattoos and I have colorful hair and all that. But it's like it's a lot of cleaning. Like it would be a lot of cleaning, like prepping and tearing down, and you're just being like, you're being an assistant in there, you know? So it's like, if that's not what you're interested in, then it's not just like hanging out at a tattoo shop. It's like being front desk and also like a go-to person for everything. So it's interesting. It's like we constantly, and even on a much smaller scale, we make daily choices that I don't think that we tend to give too much thought into, because we just want what we want on an impulse. And so I'll go look in the fridge and go, well, I have a salad there, or I can order food, or I can like cook something. And if nothing's made for me and I have this choice of like what it is I want to eat, depending on my mood and how my day's gone and all these little factors I have in my head, I might just be like, all right, just pick up the phone and order some food. Or, you know, yeah, like I want to eat, but I don't want a salad today, or whatever is already pre-made in your fridge, then yeah, cook something. But, you know, so I've been trying really hard to focus on making choices that are in line with my goals so I can actually make progress and create that motivation to keep me going.
And I think that is something that everyone can take something away from. Because that's kind of the ultimate goal, is to figure out how to make the choices that help keep us motivated and are actually working towards our goals, and fighting through the temptations to make choices that maybe get us close or derail us because they might seem easier or more simple or whatever it is, when in reality every choice has its own consequence, and the cost of that consequence could equal out to the cost of the other choice. There is this great equalizer in the universe of good and bad, and every chance we get to make those little decisions, we have that special little opportunity to like propel us forward. And I remember, and I can't remember if we've talked about him before, but there's an actor. His name's Ethan, I think it's Suplee, but he was in a ton of movies and TV shows, but I know him best as the little brother in, oh my gosh, of course, I'm gonna like blank on the name right now of the show. My Name is Earl, where the main character, he's trying to like cross off these list items, but that actor, he recently, in the past few years, he has gone through this whole transition of being healthier and more fit and losing weight, because he was considered, you know, obese to the point where it was not healthy. His weight was not healthy. And he was asked in an interview what made him decide to make the choice to be healthier. Like, what made him make that choice? And he said that it was no different than him making the decisions and the choices that got him to being overweight and unhealthy. They were both choices, and both had their own difficulties. He's like, you know, it was apparently easy for me to choose to overeat or to you know, make the unhealthy decision, but the cost of that was the weight and the health issues that it caused. So it inherently, the easy choice still brought difficulties. So it was a matter of just seeing it that way and realizing that every choice will have its own difficulties and consequences. And it's all about realizing that that's good. That's good. That plays to our favor. That means that we can allocate our energy to the battles that are worth fighting. I am more happy with fighting the battle against eating a chocolate bar in bed and choosing baby carrots than I am with fighting the battle with myself the next day, knowing that I didn't make the right choice. I'm more happy with making the choice to potentially put things in, shake things up to advance in my career or to make steps moving forward. I'm more happy with the difficulty that choice could bring than I would be with, like you said, ending up 8 years down the line, which same boat. It's so funny. You and I we followed the same path where I also work in accounts payable. I've worked in like the same kind of linear movement for years now, and I just don't want to. And I'm more happy with making the choice to shake that up and potentially cause a little bit of strain on the front end to get inevitably closer to my goals. And every goal we have, it doesn't need to be weight loss. It could be money, savings, paying off bills, paying off debts. Those choices, it works to our benefit that we have to make these choices. So his interview, I was like, God, I love this. I love this. This is great. This concept is great.
Yeah. He actually has his own podcast now too. It's called American Glutton.
Oh, you know what? I think I saw something about that. Is he with the guy? Does he have a co-host? I thought
I'm not sure. I haven't actually listened to it, but it was so funny because he's been doing like a I think he interviews people because he's been doing a lot of interviews himself since he got all buff, and then he started this podcast, and then he's been interviewing people, and he's been like getting like being in the spotlight for being this buff dude now, and he's been going around talking about his journey, but he's also been talking to other people about theirs and like their perspective and stuff. So I think I only listened to a couple clips because I started following it on Instagram.
We don't do interviews, and I feel like that would be so uncomfortable and weird to do, but that would be kind of a cool interview to have him. That would be neat. That would be somebody I would want to talk to, because his mindset and I think what was like the best is that he's so modest about it, where it's just totally this decision that he owned. He's not even like being vain or materialistic with how he's improving himself. It's literally just so he can live his best life. He fell in love with a girl and wanted to like live this best life with her. And it's so wholesome. And that's what those kinds of journeys should be. It should be somebody trying to find their happiness and realizing that fitness and eating for fuel will give us longer lives, happier lives, and healthier lives. And the choices are they have just as many difficulties and challenges as ones that we make that are not conducive.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems like a very chill dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so fun. I'm like, now I'm all hyped up about him. I'm gonna go listen to him and get some more inspiration, because yeah, he's very like matter of fact about it. Like, I've listened to him talk, and I'm like, he's just so chill about it. Like, I love this this podcast I listen to all the time, Primal Potential. I mentioned that a lot, like when I talk about listening to podcasts and stuff. The host is Elizabeth Benton, and she does it by herself. But she always talks about taking the drama out of food choices. And until I listened to her say that, I've never heard anyone talk about creating drama around food. And I was like, what do you mean creating drama around food? It's like calling food good or bad. Like, it's food. It's gonna affect your body. Everything you eat affects your body differently, even though we don't like to think of it like that. We like to literally narrow mind focus on, does this taste good or not how is it going to make me feel. And so she encourages journaling a lot for food tracking, so that you can kind of see the correlation between your mood and your food choices before you're even really aware of it. And so it's like, you know, like I said in the other week's episode, it's like when you don't get enough sleep, you're more likely to reach for things to make you feel better. And a lot of that tends to deal with like food choices. And so you end up reaching for something that makes you feel like crap, then you're going to feel like crap. But if you reach for something that makes you feel good and you don't feel better, well, at least you don't feel like crap, because you're probably not going to feel good till you catch up on sleep. So the food really isn't the issue here. It's the sleep.
Yep.
But I feel like we tend to get very narrowly focused on sometimes very individual choices, but not looking at like the whole picture of the choice, like not seeing the consequence of the choice, you know? It's like I can sit here, it's so funny, like we sit here and record, but if my dog has to go to the bathroom, I'm not gonna make him wait. Like it would be bad. A possible reaction, he would just go right here. Like I don't have any control over his like bodily function, you know? And like we have to react to those things accordingly. And so like with that, I don't think twice about it. Like he bugs me and wants to go, well, we go, you know. But for myself, I'll sit here and be like, I'll sit at my desk longer and hold it than like just going and taking the break, because I want to finish something. There's some other need that I want that I am putting as like more important. And we do that all the time, and I don't think we really pay that much attention to it, because once you've done it enough times, you've created your own little loop. And then you have to be very mindful to break it.
Yes. And our choices, our consistent choices, become our consistent habits, whether they're good or bad. Our choices frame our habits. Our choices frame our schedules. Our choices frame our lives. And every single opportunity to make the choice is that opportunity to like restart, to get focused. Like, you know, there's so many ways that we can use that to our advantage and to our benefit, but building habits is like the one. Once you really look at it like that and you're like, okay, realistically, if I make the choice to do something for X amount of time, it can become a habit. So if I'm trying to save money, which is something I try to do, realistically, if I make the choice every payday to, instead of getting Starbucks, I put that $20 in my savings account, I can make this a habit, and then I can make this a savings habit. And making those little choices and making them consistently makes that habit. But also, as we track that consistency and as we develop that habit, not only does it become second nature, but also those choices become something to celebrate and then motivate us even more. So we can create these cycles and these perpetuations of these habits for good things just as easily as we can for bad things. A lot of times people are like, well, it's easier to just spend that money. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Sometimes that money's exiting either way. But sometimes it's not easier to spend the money because it can set you up for other difficulties. And you know, it's most easily correlated to like eating habits, but this applies to everything. Those choices consistently will build those habits, which will build those action plans, which will get you to your goal. Step by step by step by step. It's rooted down to the seed.
Yeah, like you think about it, it's like you're planting a seed. I watched something, maybe it was a Headspace video. They were talking about probably planting a seed. And how every time, oh my God. About how every time you meditate, you're watering the seed. Like you're growing the habit, and eventually you don't even think about it anymore. You just take care of it. And it's funny because I think about that with my houseplants. I've taken better care of them since I've been home because I see them every day, like minute by minute. They're in my line of sight, and I notice when they start drooping. Whereas before, it used to be like one day they're perky, the next day they're drooping. But really, it's like a slow process. And when they droop, they need water. And so I just go, oh, well, when they look sad, I water them. But then I watched a video about taking care of plants, and it says to give your plant a consistent watering schedule to help it thrive the best. And since I've done that, my plants are so much happier. They've grown so much more. Like, they're totally happy. And I just think about how funny it is that, like, consistency in our habits and our choices is what makes a difference for, like, every living thing.
and it's, I think, like, the most hilarious part is that it's, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, wow, this is, like, literally the simplest concept. Like, making a choice is, like, the simplest concept. But as simple as it is, it's something that's easily overlooked. It's almost like, you know, the smallest things are easier to just move beyond and not acknowledge because it seems so tiny. But it's like ants, you know, when I have like one ant crawl across my desk, I'm like, no big deal. It's like, it's this tiny little nuisance. When all of a sudden I have like 6, I'm like, whoa, okay, now things are just getting carried away. And it's kind of the same with our choices. You know, we make one choice that isn't in line with our goals, and it's easier to make another one and another one. One is whatever. It's like, no big deal. We've talked about this before. One rest day or whatever is just a rest day. 2 rest days is the development of a habit. So it's like, once you start really getting, 6, 7, 8, 9 ants, you have a swarm of bad decisions. And it's so much easier to change that trajectory and kind of repair your processes when you catch it early on too, and you realize that you're making those choices. But like you said, from the Primal Potential podcast, why though? Like, why are you making that choice? Until you properly address the reasoning behind that choice and why maybe it was difficult to make a different one, you will always encounter that same battle. Because even though you make the good choice, you maybe not address the underlying issue. And it's funny because, like I said, the idea of making a choice is so simple. But when we start to dig deep down into like why we actually do the things we do, it becomes incredibly complex, because every single human being is an incredibly complex organic machine. And our choices it's like those Goosebump books where you could follow the path and you could choose, like, go to page 5 if you're going to open the fridge, or go to page 7 if you're not. That's life. That's constantly life. Except you can't go back to page 5. You don't get to restart and not open the jar.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, and so that's why I feel like a lot of people will get to a certain point where they look back and they go, I have regrets about how I've chosen to live. And you're just like, okay, well, that's great, and you should process that, and you should learn from it, and then you should also, like, take steps to move forward. Like, you have, like, making little changes. And it's so funny, because there's so many things I used to do that I almost can't remember what I used to do, because I don't live that way anymore. and I used to give myself a lot of guff for making a choice that was like against a want, and it's so silly, because now I'm like, I don't think like that anymore. But I also do get caught up in those thought loops of just, this is how I live my day to day, so this is how it goes. And I've had to remind myself multiple times this year. At the very beginning, I was super excited to be home, and I was a little more in control of my schedule, and I saved money on gas. Like, I was making all my own food at home, and then, like, you start to get you get used to what you're doing, and then you kind of figure out, how do I do less of this? And then ultimately, then it was like, I'm ordering food, which means I'm not saving that money, and I don't feel as good, and I'm gaining weight because I'm not moving around as much. And so then I go, okay, get a home gym. And then I get a home gym, and I use that for a while, and then I'm still not eating good, so my wrist gets inflamed, and then I can't work out as much. So then I give myself an excuse to not work out as much and continue. Like, that happened real fast. Like, and I just summed it up, like... escalated quickly.
Yes.
But I have just as much control to turn it around, which is what I'm doing now. It's like I'm not focusing on working out, I'm focusing on my food. Food's number one. Once I got that down, start incorporating workouts again. Whole while I want to be meditating, I want to be tracking what I'm eating so that literally even if I don't track a single calorie, the writing it down is keeping my mind focused on my goals, which is like to generally overall be healthier.
Right.
Like I have like diabetes and cancer in my family, and those are both things that are risky, and the risks increase if I smoke, the risks increase if I gain weight, like, and then big part of it is like, well, what are you doing and eating every day? Like, that's going to determine how long you get to live.
The more and more I think about those types of things, the older and older I get, I guess I should say, the more and more I think about those things, and the more and more those ideas motivate my choices. And that it's weird how the rationalization of our own mortality and the limited life that we get it's terrifying and existentially for me a very deep hole, but it's also kind of empowering in the way that it really puts it in perspective. Like you said, that stuff escalated so fast for you. Like, it was just a series of choices that escalated your situation in a direction that wasn't conducive. But you also now have the ability to make choices to turn it around. And the more and more I think about life and what it's all worth and what I want mine to be worth individually for me, the more and more it motivates the choices that I make to be a little bit more self-serving. And that sounds selfish, and it even feels selfish to say it, but I look at, first of all, I look at working out in a totally different way now, because for me, it's not even about losing weight. Like, working out is not a weight loss thing for me because of my metabolism and the way that I just operate for some reason. I can literally continue to work out, but if I'm eating way too many calories and way too much processed food, I'll continue to gain weight. Working out does not do a whole lot by itself to help me lose weight, but it's become something that I do for like fun. Like it's a part of who I am, is spending a lot of time in my home gym, like self-reflecting, and it's because it's a choice I make to self-reflect and to make myself feel better and physically have a little bit more confidence in the fact that I don't know how long I have on this earth, but I know that I'm giving my body what it needs to help sustain me for the longevity. And then I see food so much as both fuel and joy. Like, the choices I make surrounding food and fitness are so much more propelled by, I want to live a long and happy life. So where's that balance? Where is my balance of, like, I think you mentioned in our last episode, hot Cheetos, where that was like the thing you were like, I can do everything, but I don't want to give up hot Cheetos. Same. I enjoy them. Yes, they're not good for me. Yes, I shouldn't eat them in high school, I'm not going to lie.
Never eat them.
Right. And in high school, I ate them almost every day for lunch. Now, it's like a temporary indulge. Like it's just an indulgence. But it's one of those things that I make the choice, the educated decision to say, I know this is not a healthy item, but when I look at the grand scheme of how I've been doing otherwise, as far as fueling my body and providing, adequate vitamin and nutrition, okay, hot Cheetos aren't gonna be the death of me. Like, these aren't gonna be what take me out. This is, to me, I don't know, to me, it'd be worse if I were to pick up a cigarette or, do something like that. So it's like, it's this choice I'm making that may not be the best one, but it's the one that's conducive to my other goal, which is not living a restrictive, unhappy lifestyle either. It's finding that balance.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want to be happy. But also live till 100.
Right? I think about, it's so funny that you said that about working out and it not being key to weight loss, which is so true, which is so funny, because part of my hesitation on trying to start losing weight was like not wanting to do cardio all the time and not wanting to work, like not knowing, like not wanting to work out all of the time, I guess. I felt like if I had to do it, I had to work out and eat. So I just like didn't do either. And it was so dumb, because on one hand, it's like the working out is, you know, building strength in your body. Strengthening your body. And I sit at a desk for like 9 hours a day.
Yeah.
8 hours a day. Like, at the end of the day, it's probably about 9 hours. And then, like, I go, and then, like, the next thing I do is, like, oh, I want to go watch TV and sit down some more. Like, I can fit in 30 minutes to strengthen my body, you know? And so it's really about what story are you telling yourself to, like, guide you in making all these decisions and choices. And yeah, like right now, like I know that food is what the key to weight loss. So I'm watching my food and I'm focusing on eating healthy foods. And it's funny because when I switch from eating more processed foods or like ordering in or just from cutting calories down, I do snack more. I do allow myself to snack more, because even though I don't really feel snacky, I feel hungry more often. And it's like my body is adjusting to like the change in like the density of calories that you're giving all at once, and like your spikes, like your, you know, how your body's adjusting everything. So, but it'll be like, oh, like a protein shake or some grapes, or like I like to blend my protein shakes with frozen fruit, and then it tastes like a milkshake, and then I feel like I got a treat. So it's like finding ways to like enjoy the process of living, really. Like how do you make every day a little bit more enjoyable through your choices? Because even though we get like bogged down by our responsibilities, we still are making choices to like that are going to last us a lifetime. If we focus on building muscle now, then all we'll have to do is maintain it, which is less workouts. You get to, you know, whatever like healthy weight range you want to be in, then you're just worried about maintaining it. You're not eating less calories. You're probably eating more. You're definitely eating more if you're working out on top of that, which I can't wait for that maintenance phase. Oh my gosh, extra 500 calories in my pocket. I read this story one time about this older man who wanted to lose weight, and he went to, I can't, it was so long ago. I don't remember who wrote the article about him, but he said that he didn't give up his ice cream. He always wanted his nightly ice cream. Yeah, and so he gave up everything else and focused on his diet, but then he still had his ice cream, and like he like lost all the weight he wanted to lose and all that. And it's so funny because you're just like, you don't have to give up everything. You literally just need to start making swaps. It's like I think about making like picking an outfit. It's like I have all the same clothes all the time, but I don't match them up all together all the same time. Also, some days I'm more hungry than others. Some days I'm more active than others. We are not cookie cutters.
Yeah. And our choices should reflect the individual experiences that we have. That's one of the biggest issues I have with social media and the film industry and TV and everything, is so many of the choices that they imply we should make don't actually apply to our actual lives. So our choices are so misinformed half the time that some of us don't even realize we're making the wrong choice until we have. And it's like I said before, it's empowering once you realize you've got ownership of those choices and they can work to your benefit if you really think about why we make those choices and how we can change the decisions to work for us instead of against us. It's a beautiful thing.
I agree.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you find your podcast to stay up to date with our new episodes every Wednesday.
Also, head on over and follow us on Facebook and Instagram and say hello while you're there. And don't forget to drink some water, take a deep breath. You've got this.